the Horror Virgin. Welcome to the Horror Virgin, everybody. I'm Jen.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your Horror Virgin, Todd, which means I don't like scary movies, but you guys make me watch them.
Yes, we do. That is the premise of our show,
Yes.
one might say.
The show.
That is
It
the show.
is.
And guys, we are re-recording this intro episode right after we recorded our 100th episode.
I can't believe it.
Because things have changed, and we wanted to let the brand new listeners know what to expect over the journey.
Yeah, so if you listen to some of our older episodes, there's a guy named Clint on there, and he is one of the original hosts of the show.
Absolutely. One of the founders of Horror Virgin.
Right.
Yeah.
And around episode 20, I think.
It's actually after the Scream episode.
Yeah.
He decided he didn't have time for the show anymore. So Jen and I decided that we could either end the show or continue it. We decided to continue it, and then we had a bunch of people guest for a while, and then we had Mikey on. I think your first episode is the Grave Encounters episode.
It is,
Encounters,
yeah.
that's right.
And it is a magical episode.
It is.
And then we had you guest a few more times, and then we were just like,
Then I
let's
just started
do
inviting myself over.
That
You
is
did.
also true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you want to start your own podcast and you want to like just jump on someone else's podcast, just invite yourself over a bunch.
Yeah, I think it was around
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, and I said, hey, Mikey, you want to be our guest in residence in January? And you heard that as December and just started showing up.
There was no maliciousness about it. It's just my life is completely disorganized. And I was like, I thought you said December. I like Christmas.
I mean, it worked out. It was fine.
It absolutely was fine. So anyway, around episode 26 is when you'll start to hear Mikey. And then I think you joined full-time around 36 or
The
35.
Thing episode.
The Thing episode. Okay, so that's in the 30s, I think.
Do you guys remember that episode? That was when the power went out.
Yes, and
Yeah.
the Birth of Flamecopter.
Yeah,
We'll get there,
that was
guys. In fact,
Flamecopter.
when we say we'll get there, you'll get there
Yeah.
when you listen through it. But, Jen, let's talk about why you wanted to start this show.
Well, I love horror.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I have loved it since I was little. The first horror movie I remember watching was Fright Night. Listen to that episode. That's a good one. But I watched it at a slumber party, and it scared the shit out of me. And my parents were so mad. And then I was just hooked. And, of course, my dad was a big Stephen King fan, so I became a big Stephen King fan. I love him. But I just love horror. Just in general, I think there's a lot of female empowerment in it. There's a lot of like lessons we can see about society. And one of the things I love so much about horror is that it can show so much about who we are, you know, because horror shows us, well, who we are and what we care about. And so lots of people think like, I don't like horror, I'm too afraid, but just about everyone has a scary movie that they like, you know? Like whether it's Ghostbusters, I still think fits under the horror umbrella, or people will say lots of times, like movies they don't consider horror, they still like it because we all like being scared a little bit. And it's like sometimes it's like going on a roller coaster, you know?
I didn't
And
like
you
roller
get the
coasters
thrill.
very much. Yeah, I completely disagree.
But what I love about it is like I like to analyze stuff. But so everybody tells themselves two scary stories. They say, if I were going to die tomorrow, what would I do today? And if my house were burning down, what would I save? And so dying and your house burning down, those are scary, terrifying things. And so we use those as ways to show us what we care about and who we are. And that's what I think horror does.
Awesome. So thank you for that super academic perspective. Mikey, why do you like horror?
Jen brings a completely different perspective, but I like a more like, it's not silly that monsters exist, but like that people can overcome and destroy the monsters that try to kill them. Yeah.
I like the overcoming aspect. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things I love about it is because I can relate to a lot of the fears that I have in my own life. And it's like a purge, you know?
Yeah, and I personally, I mean, I like to believe that like good people, good guys exist, guys who fight for, you know, not every guy is going to be like a bad guy. Like I try to be a good guy, and I connect more when there's like a good guy character. You know?
Yeah, and a lot of times there isn't.
Right.
And I just hate being scared. Like, I really don't like being scared. I've never liked it. I remember going to see the movie Independence Day when I was like in middle school or whatever, and I had my foot up on the seat in front of me. And do you remember the scene
when the ghost is in the
Data?
lab?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when Data
ghost,
That's a
it's
good-
the
the alien
alien.
lab.
yeah, when the what
tentacle
movie did
comes
you
up.
watch?
Yeah.
No, the tentacle like slams Data against the glass. I literally leaned over to my brother and said, "He's gonna slam Data against the glass." And then when he did, I jerked so hard I broke the seat in front of me because my foot was on.
Oh
it.
man, I've jerked so hard that I broke the seat. In front of me.
Ew.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
And like so that is very much my relationship to jump scares. I just cannot handle them. And because my brothers knew this, they would torture me all the time growing up. So like I really hated being scared my entire life. And I went to a sleepover when I was like 8 or 9, and they made us watch The Omen and Pet Sematary. And those were, until we started this podcast, 2 of the only 3 scary movies I had ever seen. The third one being the Blair Witch Project. Yeah. I went and saw that on a date. Like I had been trying to ask this girl out for like a year in high school, and she finally agreed to go out with me, and we went to see this movie.
What was the thought process with choosing?
She wanted to see it, and I was just like, I'll do whatever she wants to do because for some reason she agreed to go.
That's a great way to handle relationships.
I was like a fucking sophomore in high school. Anyway, she agreed to go with me, and then at the end of that date, that was the only date we had, and that was largely because that was her decision. And because I was really scared, I think I ran back to her car because she drove.
I totally would have been the kids at the slumber party making you watch the movies, and the girl suggesting to go see Blair Witch.
Yeah, well, I mean, and listen, Rachel, she's gone on to do other great things, and she's married and doing great.
I also like horror because, and what I loved about the podcast is I think they're one of the few movies that are better with the groups with other people. Like like you don't have to be completely silent and watch it and like absorb. I mean, sometimes it helps, but I mean, like, it's fun to experience it as a group.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and there's those moments where you have the big jump scare and everybody gets scared, and then you all laugh at how scared you got. And those are some of my favorite moments in watching horror.
Like what happened to me in Hereditary, which I won't spoil because it's like the 3rd episode we did. But yeah, that I had a moment like that when we saw that in the theater. Absolutely.
So the premise of the show is that Todd is the horror virgin. He does not like horror, although now I think you've pretty well broken your cherry on horror.
The thing I dislike most about this podcast is having to watch the movies.
That's true.
And I do all the editing and all of that stuff, which is a lot of work, but I'd rather do that than watch the movies still.
And people like will ask me sometimes, like, is he really that scared? Or is it kind of like a shtick he's leaning into? No, he really is that scared.
Yes, you have gotten less scared the last
I think
30
you're just
episodes.
Kind of starting to game out the movies. Like I think
I can
when
start
the
to see
stuff,
it coming and stuff. Yeah,
but it still scares you.
Yeah, like the jump scares. The movie tonight, our 100th episode, had a jump scare where I almost fell out of my chair.
Yep.
Yeah, but some movies you can watch yourself get creeped out. You can watch you get like it seep in and like really creep you out. We haven't done like Jen's right. You're learning all the formulas.
Yeah.
So we got to keep you guessing.
But you'll get to hear the evolution of that as you listen to our back catalog.
My goal is not to scare you so much. It's to like convince you to love horror because I think everybody should.
I think that is a fool's errand.
I know, but I'm going to get there.
Is it? Because my goal is also for you to love horror, but I go about it in a really different way than
you
Jen
go about
does.
it by showing me House 2, an attack of killer tomatoes. Yeah, absolutely.
And I try to break you apart by showing you Hereditary.
Well, and then The Thing.
God. Yeah.
That's my favorite horror film.
Sure.
And I feel like that's one of the ones that was still super scary that you actually like.
Yeah, there are some movies where, I mean, at the end of it, we talk about if we like it or not. And there are a lot of movies that I will admit are great movies, but I still hated because they were scary. And that was one of them. So, I mean, we do watch a lot of amazing movies that are amazing movies of their own right, but I wish I had never seen it. And I never hope to see it again because I'm so scared of all these things.
Yeah.
You should just grow up.
I mean, my girlfriend's told me that. Anyway.
Well, and one of the things that I've thought is really interesting is watching like what particular things scare us because I think we each have our own different thing that really gets us. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like for me, it's jump scares.
It is.
By far. For you, it's like family dynamic horror and like
body horror.
Yeah.
I do not like anything gory.
Yeah. And
then
Mikey's sort of just dead inside.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I can nail down what it is.
Arachnophobia
Spiders.
really
shit,
scared me.
Yeah.
I think that's the only movie you've given a 10 to on our scary scale.
I gave it a 9.
Oh, did you?
But
My
I
bad.
could have gave it a 10.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I have
She's
not
checking
been
it
that
right
creeped-
now.
I have not been that creeped out in any other movie we've watched.
I think it's John Goodman's best film.
I mean, he's amazing.
Those were real spiders, Jen.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Ooh, I feel like they're on me right now.
So
yeah.
we mentioned some things that you'll hear on the podcast, like, us talking and spoiling all of these movies. So
Oh, yeah, we are going to
if you
spoil
haven't
them.
watched the movies yet, I mean, you can listen to the episode if you don't care about it being spoiled.
Right.
But if you don't want it to be spoiled for you, watch the movie before you listen.
Strangely, as the movies have gone on, we've opened up about how we relate to movies in our personal life.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. There are a lot of emotional episodes because we all talk about very, very personal stuff to us. We don't really hold back much, which I like about this.
Because the horror genre is so light.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, when deep things...
Remember that month where pretty much every episode had rape in it?
Yeah, I hated that.
Oh my
that was
God.
Christmas.
It was Christmas.
Yeah, that was your first Christmas with us.
I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, but that's one of the things I like is that our episodes are not scary. We're not like telling scary stories. And I have some friends who are too afraid to watch horror movies, but they listen to our episodes because like sometimes there are movies that I'm too afraid to watch, but I'll read the synopsis of them so I can still like be in the conversation. And so like if you're too afraid to watch the movies, we're going to spoil them for you.
Because we are very much a comedy podcast about horror movies.
Yes, we're not trying to scare you.
No, not at all.
I mean, my life choices are scary.
That is true. And you'll hear all about that post episode 36 or whatever the thing episode is. But you'll also hear things like the scary scale where we rank how scary the movies are, Jen's fun facts. We talk about box office and how they did in theaters. And really our only rule is that they did get a theatrical release. The movie did.
Yeah.
Or like a Netflix type release. Any sort of wide release will do that movie, right?
Yeah. And we do a monthly listener request that you can do with Patreon. So because I know that we tend to I like particular kinds of horror movies, so those are the ones that I tend to choose, and we want to open it up a little bit, and we want to talk about the movies that you're into too.
Absolutely.
So if you're one of our patrons, you monthly get to suggest some movies
at any level.
Yeah, all levels too.
So one of the surprising things that's kind of come up from this podcast is we've developed a really awesome community.
I know.
Yeah. Well, it's really the community developed around it. Like we didn't really have a big hand in the awesome people that joined it.
The Facebook group and everybody kind of gelled there.
Yeah. But we've got a Monday discussion thread for every episode, and we talk a lot about the themes, especially when it's more of a heavy one and we share some personal stuff.
Yeah.
Or when it's insane like House 2 and we're just laughing at pterodactyls.
Movie. Yeah.
The Facebook group community is just awesome, and people really have become friends and
it's become sort of a support group for some people, and it's honestly great. I love it. We interact there pretty much daily.
We do, yeah. And hey, if you hate Facebook like me, here's how you hack it. I created an account and I do not accept any friend requests. That way, all I see is from the group.
Right.
And so, if you hate Facebook, that's a way you can still participate.
So, thank you for listening to our introductory episode. We will now turn you loose to listen to, whatever episode you want. Start really wherever.
I know. Yeah. There's really not through lines.
No.
I think a lot of people just listen to whatever movies they've watched.
I think so too. Yeah, and I think that's fine. I think that's the way you want to consume it that way.
Yeah,
but really you should listen to all of them.
Well,
I think so too. But I mean, listen, we've put a lot of work into each and every episode, and I think they're all great, and they all have jokes. And if you do listen to them out of order, we do reference sometimes jokes from other episodes,
like Flamecopter.
Yeah, but we'll try and give you a heads up on where that is when we make that reference.
Right.
We cross-reference the episode. So anyway, I think you'll enjoy it.
So that's going to be it for us, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for joining us on our introductory all over again episode.
Yes.
Our episodes drop on Monday.
Yes, Monday in the morning. You'll catch them every Monday. We have not yet missed a Monday in almost 2 years.
I can't believe it.
I'm so
100
proud of that.
Mondays.
Yes. Oh, damn.
I know, man.
I love that.
I'm Jen.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin Todd, guys.
Have a great
100 episodes?
Listen, I guess.
Absolutely.
Here's to the next 100.
Bye.
You know, the first time I did that, it was totally spontaneous.
It was.
And it was just the thing that caught on.
Nerds.